Imagine a tightrope walker. Now, I know there was times, I've actually seen it, video of a tightrope walker who was from one skyscraper to another skyscraper. Now, just imagine that. You're the tightrope walker. And you're walking over chaos, traffic going on, everything happening, winds blowing, you're up above everything. And the beauty of the tightrope walker is that they have to walk deliberately forward with intention, and they don't look down. They don't look at all the chaos. They look forward at the end where they're heading. And then they slowly and carefully continually take steps forward in that direction that they're heading. So our monthly theme is living on the edge. And I wrote our weekly theme as embracing uncertainty. And I was thinking about this tightrope walker because if you're a tightrope walker, you're really living on the edge. I mean, there's no other place to be. It's just, you're not going to the right or to the left, you're just going right there on that one little tiny line that you're going forward with. And that's how life can be. And if we aren't paying attention, we can get knocked over and fall down. But if we are paying attention, we can move forward in a particular direction in a way that supports us. And this sermon, I will say, was written for me, by me, to help me, and hopefully help you as well. Because what I've noticed is that right now, there is a sense of political tension, a little bit, economic fluctuations, social divisions, and there's a lot of chaos happening. And so as I was thinking about our theme and I was thinking about embracing uncertainty, I thought about what are all the things that I need to remind myself of as I'm moving through those uncertain times. And so that's what this is about, is what are those things that we can connect with and tap into and utilize as we're moving through uncertain times. Because how we do it is just as important as what we're doing, is how we're being in the midst of it. Because it is my life, how I am being in it is affecting me, but it also affects everybody around me. So I was thinking about a seedling. It starts as a very tiny, vulnerable thing, and it's implanted in the dirt. And whether it is a acorn for an oak tree, or it's a corn kernel for a, corn plant, whatever they're called, stalk, thank you. Thank God for the help of my friends. I appreciate you out there. Regardless of what's planted in the soil, contained within the seed is everything it needs to be the fullness of its being. And that's like us. We're like seeds. And we're planted in the soil of life. And the soil contains all the nutrients for the fullness of it to come into being. And what is soil made up of? Stuff. Yeah, you know what soil's made up of? All of the decomposing parts of other things. It's compost. And so when compost is happening, it is providing the nutrients necessary for the soil to infuse the seed for its conditions to be ripe, for it to come up into a plant and come out into the light. But first, it starts in the darkness. And I think about that often whenever I'm thinking about any time I'm in the in-between. I feel like right now is a time of the in-between. And if you are in the in-between, it might be you just ended a relationship, or you are moving and you put your house up for sale, you don't have another house yet. You are moving to a different job, but you don't have your new job yet. We have a president who is not going to be the president at the end of this election, and there will be a brand new president. So there's uncertainty in the in-between. But the invitation here is to reframe the uncertainty times into a time of growth and transformation, to really look at it instead of as a difficulty, but as an opportunity. So what if we embrace the times of uncertainty as opportunities for growth and fulfillment of our soul? And what if we looked at it as an opportunity for us to step into the fullness of our potential because of what's going on? And what if it is an opportunity for us to lean in to our spiritual practice, to lean in to the infinite great creator? What areas of your life are you experiencing uncertainty? Ernest Holmes, I read this. This is tripping me out a little bit, but I like it. I like this. Ernest Holmes said this quote, and he says, change is the law and growth its purpose. Change is the law and growth is its purpose. Now, I've taught Science of Mind a lot, and one of the things we teach in Science of Mind classes are this idea that we have kind of a triune nature of God, and there's a process that happens. The process is you put your prayers, your intentions. Your prayers and intentions are like seeds that get planted into the soil. The soil is another word for what we call the law, and we call it the law because it works the same for everybody. It is basically the mysterious creator of the things. We don't exactly know what it is, but it's a place where the mystery happens. The mystery happens in the law. But you plant the seed in the soil, we don't understand how it works, and then a plant comes out. And there's a manifestation, so it's 3 parts. It's like intention, creative, whatever mystery, and then manifestation. And that's what we teach about in Science of Mind. But the interesting thing for me is really reframing the law as change, because change is always happening. And that change is the law and growth its purpose. So anytime change is happening, the purpose for us is to grow. And anytime some difficult situation is happening, the purpose is for us to step into the fullness of who we are. Now that can be taken on an individual level, and it is, but it's also a collective level that's happening. So whatever's happening in the country is an opportunity for us to collectively step into a way of being together that might be new. Because we'll keep repeating history until we decide differently. So Michael Beckwith also teaches the soil of uncertainty is fertile ground for miracles, which means there are some miracles happening soon, right? Miracles. I mean, I thought last week my cat was going to die, and she's doing great. We did the pet blessing, and I was crying through the whole thing, and she's had a miracle. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not going to deny it. I'm like, okay, you're fine. My wife said to me this morning, she's like, I can't believe we thought Kitty was going to die last week, and here she is. She's doing great. I'm like, I know. Miracles happen every day, and they happen to us. And they happen when we pay attention, and they happen when we lean into our spiritual practice. And so I want to encourage you to start looking for the miracles and start going, oh, this change, this uncertainty is an opportunity not only for the fullness of my expression to come through, but also for me to allow miracles into my life at a greater level than I ever have before. And then the beauty of it is you don't have to push or shove or make miracles happen, they just happen. I love that that's how the universe works. So, the second thing I want to encourage you to do is recognize that in order to have a stability, I will say stability in the midst of chaos, you have to cultivate mindfulness and an inner peace. See, Buddha was a really awesome guy. He was royalty. And he thought, okay, royalty is pretty great because I have everything I could ever want, but he couldn't leave the palace. So he decided he was going to give up all of his riches and he was going to just see what's out there because something in him was seeking something new. And so as he went out of the palace walls, he discovered suffering. It was not a pretty sight. He had not really seen suffering before, but he got to see the people who were starving, and he saw the people who were at war, and he saw terrible, horrible things. And so he had kind of the riches, and then he had the suffering, and he thought, there has to be something else. And so he sat under a tree for a really long time. And what he found out is he was awakened to the inner peace that was already there. He was awakened to this idea that peace is present in every single person at all times. But we have to tune into it. So peace is another name for the divine. You have to tune into it. You have to be present to it. And it's not out there, it's inside. And it's already in each and every one of us, but often we forget. Because I'm so distracted by what's going on out there, I forget to cultivate that peace that's in here. And that's what Buddha taught. He taught that suffering is optional. Suffering is everywhere, but it's optional. That was his big teaching, was like, you don't have to suffer. You can actually tune in to your inner peace that's already present through different practices. Today we call them mindfulness practices, but they're what Buddhism has been teaching for years. Deepak Chopra says, in the midst of movement and chaos, keep stillness inside of you. And Helen Schuler Hicks wrote, peace comes from within, do not seek it without. So when we cultivate inner peace, we are actually cultivating a place for love and wisdom and guidance to come into our experience and our expression. But there's even cooler stuff out there. I love that we're in the age of neuroscience and quantum physics and all of that. I'm a super science geek, thank you very much. And we are at a time when neuroscience is aligning with mystical teachings. And what neuroscience says is that when we cultivate our inner stillness through mindfulness practices, we can rewire our brains, which reduces our fear response, and it enhances our ability for creativity and curiosity in the midst of challenge. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm really interested in having a response that's about curiosity and creativity in a challenge and not in a place of threat and fear and lack and worry. And if I can get to that every day in my life, and we can get to that collectively every day in our community. And we can get that collectively every day in our country. What would it look like? What would it look like? And see, that's what I want, but it starts with me and then it ripples out. There's this thing called the butterfly effect, and Michael from First Service gave me the guy who actually invented this idea of the butterfly effect. But what he did, he was a meteorologist. And in the 1960s, he was doing computer programming, and he realized on weather patterns. And he realized that the wings of a butterfly actually can affect weather around the world. So we are like that, though. When I tune in and I cultivate inner peace within me, in any challenging situation with my family, with my friends, with the country, I create a butterfly effect that ripples around the world. Emma Curtis Hopkins said, we're all parts of one great whole, and each and every one of us is necessary for the completeness of the whole. We are all members of one body, and what affects one member affects us all. So when I cultivate peace, when I cultivate love, when I build bridges, I'm affecting all of those around me in a positive way. So who am I going to be in the midst of uncertainty? Who am I going to be in the midst of family drama? Who am I going to be in the midst of community drama? Who am I going to be? Well, one way I would say to cultivate mindfulness, this is so simple. And I literally have a timer on my phone to remind me to stop what I'm doing and just have a mindful moment, which is a minute in my world. And a mindful moment in a minute goes like this. Close your eyes. Pay attention to your breathing. If you have any thoughts in your head, just allow them to flow out of your head. And imagine something that cultivates peace. For me, I think about a beautiful lake on a summer's day. Like that, yeah. Waterfalls. Now, just pay attention to your breathing and allow your breathing to be natural. But notice what's going on in your body. When you feel that peace and you're just breathing, paying attention to your breath, how does your nostrils feel? Maybe you're breathing in your mouth or out your nose. Not forcing, not shoving, just breathing. And now bring your awareness back. We collectively have had a peaceful moment. And that peace ripples out. And the beautiful thing is that there is something that connects us that is, I'll say, intangible. But what goes on in me actually can shift and change the room around me. So I can be a place where peace shows up. You may have experienced that when somebody's really angry and they show up in a room, but what if you're the place where peace shows up? What if you're the place where love shows up? And it can be as simple as cultivating those mindful moments every day, but we have to keep doing them. Because it is through that practice over and over and over that it rewires our brains and allows us to be open to that. Now we know why Buddhism was so successful. Now we know why all the mystics of all of the main religions have been saying things that allow us to feel connected and a part of something big. It's because we are. They already knew it, they just didn't have the science to prove it, and now we do. So think about what strategies can you incorporate in your life that can cultivate more inner peace and resilience. Because the more strategies you implement, the more you will be a catalyst for positive change in the world. And maybe just positive change in your own life. You got to start there. So the third thing I'd love for you to do is to be a connector. And to be the place where community shows up. So the first thing was reframe uncertainty as a catalyst for growth. The second thing is to find inner peace. And the third thing is to create connection through community. There's a parable of the Good Samaritan, and there's this person who needed help. And all these people were just walking by, and the Good Samaritan stops and helps the person. And in the Bible times, they're like opposite groups, warring fractions, we'll say. You know, there's plenty of warring fractions going on right now. But, you know, imagine two different countries that are at war right now, and somebody is having an issue from a different country, and there's people walking by from that other country, and they're like, I'm not going to help that person, we're at war. Well, the Good Samaritan was the person who was like, I'm going to help that person out. Because I believe in the goodness of humanity. So here's the deal. I would not be here if it weren't for community. I would not have made it through my life, I'll say so well, if it weren't for community. I've been involved in Centers for Spiritual Living since 2000, so for 24 years, pretty much most of my adult life, I've had the opportunity to be in this teaching. And during that time, at one time in 2009, I was in ministerial school, and my dad died. Now, I had been a practitioner since 2004. I was in ministerial school. I felt like I was, really prepared for death, but I was not. I was not prepared for that kind of experience. And what happened is I felt so much pain in my heart, physical, tangible pain. I thought I was going to die because I was in so much pain. I had brain fog. I could barely operate. My friends had to drive me to ministerial school because I could barely drive. I was a mess. And I don't even know how I passed through ministerial school after that time because everybody just kept helping me out. I couldn't even, and we had 6 hours of exams. A year later, we had 6 hours of exams we had to take, and we were in little pods, doing research and practicing with each other so we could study for these exams that we were going to take in ministerial school. And I just was incapable. Now, I'm a person who's kind of I like to do a great job. I was a straight A student in school. I loved education. I loved all this stuff. But I was not capable of doing any of that. And my colleagues were like, it's okay, you're grieving. We'll co-create the study guides. You just study with us. We'll do this. You just be there. We'll do this. We'll just pray with you and lift you up. I don't even know how I could have done it if it weren't for them. But that's the thing about community. It takes a bunch of people to usher us through the hard times in our lives, but we have each other. I'm a huge camp geek. I hope you know this. I love camp. I went to Girl Scout camp every year when I was growing up, and they had these things called, it was I don't know if you've heard of trust falls, where you standing there, and then everybody's behind you, and then you just have to go, and you fall back, and everybody catches you. We had a trust fall. We also had this other activity where you would lay down on the ground, and all the campers, we would all surround the person laying on the ground, and with one finger, everybody would put their one finger on the person on the ground, and we would collectively lift them up. Now imagine the weight of a human compared to one finger. But it was that one finger could make miracles happen when they were put together. That's the power of community. So it's not Abigail does everything here, or Ebyania does everything here, or Nancy. It's all of us doing a little something for each other that makes this place successful. It's just a little something. But it's the power of community that saves lives, and it's the power of community that changes lives. And actually, they've done studies now of people who have very long lives and are very healthy through the end of their lives. And what they found out is typically it's the power of community with these people who've had long, healthy lives because they've been surrounded by people who have ushered them through. They've had social connections. They've had interactions. They've had ability to have opportunities of growth and transformation because collectively they were in a community. So don't discount the power of just being here or the power of online community as well. Because we collectively can absolutely transform the world by just changing one life at a time. And sometimes it's one person who's in the room who's struggling. And maybe when I'm not struggling, I'm helping you out. Maybe when I am struggling, you're helping me out. But it's each and every person making a contribution. When we reach out to others, we are divine love in action. There's this story about this person who had just had a baby, and she was struggling. I forgot her name. It's a true story. Anyway, she was struggling. She had just had a baby, and she was so tired and so exhausted, she knew she couldn't drive to the store. And her neighbor came over and just brought her a gallon of milk because she was out of milk. But she didn't, the neighbor didn't know she was out of milk, and she was just like, oh, I just felt called to bring you milk. And the lady was like, I can't believe, you brought me milk. Oh my God, this just happened to my friends too. Another friend, this is another miracle story. My other friends came back from a tour, and they were on a musical tour, and they came back from their RV, and their cat, their house sitter had left them with no cat food. And it was late at night, and they had no cat food for their cat. And they just came home, and they were like, oh my God, everything is closed. We don't have any food for our cat. And their neighbor was like, hey, I just cooked this fish, and I was wondering if your cat wanted it. See, miracles. Miracles happen with community. So I'm wondering, are you willing to step in to be a place where God shows up? Are you willing to be that person that is supporting somebody else through their hard time? And on the other side, if you're going through a hard time, are you willing to ask for help? Did you know we have 60 practitioners here? 60 practitioners. 60 practitioners. And they show up with their stools and service, and they love to pray. They pray so much. They have a daily prayer thing that they take off the phones every day. They do an inspirational line. They have the prayer circle over here. They have a prayer box in the corner. They have a group of people online praying. I mean, these people are powerful. And if my cat can come back from the dead, who knows what else can happen? But I am open to it. And I'm here to say that I am alive and powerful and filled up with joy because of my community. And if you want that to be you too, sometimes you get to be a partner in it. So recognize that we are living in a spiritual garden, a garden of our soul, the garden of our inner world, of our consciousness. And the gardener is the divine within us, where it implanted the seed of who we truly are. And it is our opportunity to cultivate and know that the uncertainty that's happening is a catalyst for our growth. And it's happening right now because the infinite great creator loved us so much that it created these exact circumstances so we could show up together to show who we are. And so today, I recognize that is who I am. I'm a place where love shows up. I'm a place where peace shows up. I'm a place where power shows up, not in the way of overpowering, but in the place of empowering another. I am a place where community shows up. And I would encourage you to take that on with yourself as well. Because when we reframe what's going on, and we choose to be the place where peace shows up, and we choose to be the place where connection shows up, we can truly show what heaven on earth looks like. So I have a little bit of homework for you. The first thing I'd like you to do is spend 5 minutes a day practicing mindfulness. You can look it up anywhere and just do some type of mindfulness exercise. The second thing is reach out to somebody you haven't connected to in a while. Let them know you love them. Invite yourself to pray for them. Put yourself out there a little bit. Invite them over to a meal. And then I want you to identify an area in your life where you are feeling uncertainty, and I'd love for you to brainstorm ways to reframe it as an opportunity. And if you're really willing, I'd love for you to look at God, the ultimate great creator. As Emmett Fox said, there's a power within us greater than any problem we shall ever face. And so today is your opportunity to tap into that. I would encourage you to do so as I pray. So recognizing and knowing the power of uncertainty. That this is a place of the in-between, the place of maybe not knowing what the outcome is, but it is the place where I lean into God, where I lean into myself, that aspect of me that is the infinite inner peace. It's the big S self, the infinite self that is inside of me, guiding me, directing me, showing me the way, clearing out the path before me so I can be guided to the next right and perfect step that not only is the best, highest good for me, but is the best and highest good for this community. Whatever the best and highest good for the community is the best and highest good for this country. And whatever the best and highest good for this country is the best and highest good for this world. And so I know and claim that we are cultivating the inner garden with peace, with joy, with harmony, and with love. I cannot wait to see what shows up today. I'm so grateful to be in the midst of it and to know that it is something sacred and holy and good. And for that, I'm grateful, and so it is.